I'm going to be doing one of my favorite videos to watch every year is the reading wrap up. And babes, when I tell you that this was a great year for me, I read a lot of books. 115 to be exact. So yeah. That's insane to me. It is more than I've ever read in a year. Almost twice as much as I read last year, actually. And that was like 65 books. So almost twice as much as I read last year. Granted, a good chunk of them is manga, but still manga's reading. So I'm going to include them in this video. Also, I really love them. So, sue me! I was getting the books out, but I realized that I got the books out in the wrong order. Because I pulled them out from earliest to latest, which means that the very first book that I read this year is at the very bottom of one of the piles. So we're just going to pull them out by series instead of the order that I necessarily read them in, because it'll be easier for me to put them away that way. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so the very first books up that I have is Remnants of Filth 2 through 7. I read the first one like a few days before New Year's Eve. I read through these pretty fast. I know that I finished 2 January 1st. And then 3 and 4 I feel like I read pretty fast. Maybe even 5. But yeah, this was a really fun series. I was drawn to it because people were like, hey, if you want the angst, this is the author you need. And if you really want the angst, this is the series you need. So that's what I did. And I loved it. I'm pretty sure majority of these books were like 4.5, at least 4 stars. Did I love that they just kept getting shorter in length? No. I wanted more. I love these characters. They're so fun and also going through it. And so, like, I was glad they weren't going through it for the entire time. But it's also like, I want more. So, yes. So, these are the different covers. I love Dame covers. They're so fun. And this is the 3rd ever Dame series that I have completed, I want to say. I think it was the 3rd series I've read just in general. Yeah. And so I finished it. And my goodness, it is so much fun. I've read one other Dame this year after reading these. I love this series so much. Do I think I'll go back and reread them? I don't know. It's definitely not like Grandmaster Dawn of Cultivation, where I absolutely adored those books and I'm for sure going back and rereading them. I'm unsure about this one, but it was still a really fun read and I really, really enjoyed it. Next up was Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. This is one of my favorite books. I have a special edition of it actually up there on my special shelf for like all my favorite books. This one is a lot of fun. In case you don't know, this is a huge book talk book and it's hyped up for a reason. You get to kind of see the different... It's an interview where you get to go back in time and kind of see Evelyn Hugo's life and what happens during the 7 husbands, like what happens with each of the 7 husbands that she ends up having, as well as just being a movie star and a celebrity in a time period where it was very strict about certain things. The writing's beautiful. I have not been able to find another book quite like this, which has sucked. But that's how special a book is if you just can't really get that same feeling that you can in another book. So definitely like 5 stars for me. Next is The Vault of Dreamers. This was a really interesting dystopian book. I'm gonna be honest, I remember the concept. I don't remember reading this book very much. And it's a dystopian world where, or like more like sci-fi dystopian, one of those, where this girl, like, she really wants to be a filmmaker, and so she goes to this school that's like really prestigious, really difficult to get into, but she misses a sleeping pill that they give them. She misses a sleeping pill, and then she figures out, like, there's stuff that happens behind the scenes that is really not great. If you really like dystopian books, like YA dystopian, I think that this is a really fun read. Will it be, like, the best thing you ever read? It wasn't for me, but that's okay. And it was still really, really fun. So, definitely a fun read. Redway, Royal Blue. I love this book so much. It was the first 5 stars that I read this year. Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. That was a reread for me. This is my first 5 stars of the first 5-star book of the year, and I love it so much. I watched the movie first because I just got like a random like craving to watch it on a random Sunday, and I love it. And I was in the middle of a book buying ban during this because I was finishing up college, and so I put myself on a book buying ban until I completed college, but I couldn't. Like, I was just like, please, 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 I want to buy it. Please, please, please. And so we got it. And it is so good. I love it. The banter, the emails that they send each other are so funny. And yeah, just such a fun book. And it's following Alex. He's the son of the US president. And then Henry, he's like England's prince or something. And then enemies, kind of enemies, more like miscommunication. So they're enemies, but it's like one-sided because Alex holds a grudge. He holds a grudge. I respect him for that. I hold grudges. But yeah, it's just them kind of dealing with, like, they fall in love with each other and then kind of the effects of that. It's just really good banter. It's a lot of fun. And surprisingly, like, I'm not a romance girly. I don't love romance. If it's like a side plot, great, cool, love that. I actually prefer it as a side plot. But I can't really do romance by itself most of the time. I could deal with this one, and it was so much fun. Next up is All the Stars and Teeth, as well as All the Tides of Fate. This was a really surprising read for me. It was a reread, but when I first read it, it was so good. It is a fantasy book focusing, like, it's pirates and that stuff. Pirates, kind of like an ocean adventure type stuff with a really, really interesting magic system that I haven't really seen before. And if I'm being honest, I think about the ending of this book a lot. It is probably one of, if not the ending that I think of the most, because it was just such a gut punch. And it is just phenomenal. Yeah, no, just love this series. This is my first reread of it, and it was so much fun. So I can see myself going back and rereading this more. I'm not a huge rereader, but I do reread like some of my favorites. And the ending of this one is still a gut punch. So even when I knew it was coming, it's still a gut punch. It actually makes it worse because I knew it was coming. But yeah, definitely, if I had to recommend one kind of like ocean adventure pirate fantasy YA book or series, this is it. This is it. Next up is the Brave New Girl series. This was a YA series that I read this book in middle school. I don't know if you can tell, but it is from my middle school book fair that I got this book. And it's like really YA, like really little YA. This was also, it was another reread. Does not hold up like I was hoping it would. And yeah, so it's basically following this girl named Dahlia. And there's like a bunch of clones that are made, and she's one of the clones, but clones aren't supposed to feel things, and she feels things, and then she meets this new guy, and clones aren't supposed to like be interested or attracted to people, but they're attracted to each other, and then they think that there's this whole like issue with all of the clones, so then they go in and try to kill all the clones to get rid of that defect. It's interesting. It just doesn't hold up as much. And that's, like, I would just absolutely adored this series growing up. And so I think that I just kind of grew out of it a little bit. So if you need something that's like really little YA, I think that this is a perfect read for that. Dystopian, nothing too crazy happens. I mean, they talk about death, but it's dystopian, so. Next up is the first 3 books in the Maze Runner series. I have had these books for a while. This was my first time reading them. Who would have thought? I was 18 when I read these. I gotta be honest, I didn't enjoy these. I grew up with the movies. Love the movies. Dylan O'Brien, oh, so fine. He's stunning. But I just didn't love these books. Like, as somebody who grew up watching the movies, I love the movies. These books don't make sense to me. There's like magic out of nowhere, huh? And yeah, I don't know if it's just I'm biased because I watched the movies a lot growing up, and so that's kind of what I enjoy, but I didn't love these books. I did not love these books, which is really not what I typically say about books when it's a movie or show adaptation that I then read the books for. I purposely do it that way so that I can enjoy the movie or show and then also enjoy the books instead of being there and watching the show and being like, oh, this is different, da, da, da. So it makes it so I can enjoy both of them. I didn't enjoy these. And I read through the entire, like, the main trilogy, expecting it to get better. And it didn't. So, yeah, definitely not for me. Not going to read the rest of the series, which I think is just it's 2 more books. I think that they're, like, prequels or something. But, yeah, was not for me, unfortunately. Next up, I have the Inheritance games and the Hawthorne Legacy. Mystery is not for me. I must say that. Mystery is not for me. But I also did read these solely in audiobook form. I am not an audiobook person. It's really hard for me because I'm not I can't understand as much with just listening. I need to like be looking at something to really like kind of take it in. So maybe it was a combination of that, not being an audiobook person and not being a mystery person. This series just is not necessarily for me. We do have some of the cool sprite edges. I think that my mom would like this series. It's just really, it's kind of iffy. It's not for me. I don't love having to think about my books necessarily. And I felt stupid for not figuring out the stuff that happened in this book. And I don't love that. So that's okay. Next up, I'm going to go through just the manga that I read this year because that is the next pile and it's going to make the most sense to me to do that. So, okay. So I did actually unhaul a lot of manga that I read this year because I just realized that I didn't feel like holding on to it because I wasn't enjoying it or I'd already watched the anime and I didn't want to keep collecting the manga. So the first one that I started off with reading Jujutsu Kaisen this year. Yeah, so I started volume 4 this year for Jujutsu Kaisen and I got to volume 7 or 8, I think. And it was one of those things that I really, really enjoyed the anime, so I was getting the manga to kind of help support that, but then I realized there's a lot of manga and I've already read this story. I've already consumed this story, so why would I... It felt different than, like, a book adaptation, because with book adaptations, they typically, like, they'll change things, they'll add things, and that stuff, but with anime, it's pretty much shot for shot, so I was like, I don't feel like I need to keep reading this. So I did read through some of that manga. I read the first volume of Nana. It was really, like, a prologue, and I didn't enjoy the prologue, so I didn't actually read the rest of the story. Not smart, I know. But, yeah, I didn't fall in love with it, so I didn't keep it. Or keep reading it. So I might go in and watch the anime eventually, once I can figure out where to watch it. Because I have heard really, really great things. I also heard that it's not a finished series, and that the creator... or like the author doesn't know if they'll ever finish it. So it's like, what are you doing? Why am I spending my time doing this? I also got The Devil's Line. I read it. It was a really interesting concept to me. No. It wasn't for me. And I'm pretty sure I saw, like, balls. And I don't want that. So I returned it. It was actually my lowest rated book this year. I'm pretty sure I rated it 1 star. Did not enjoy my time in that world. Given was another series that I got this year, and I thought I was really gonna love it. I got through volume 4, I think. Yeah, I got to volume 4. And, like, I was really enjoying it. I really loved the angst of it. Nah. I was enjoying the angst, but it's like I was really only enjoying it with some of the side characters, like the 2 older people in band. I was really enjoying that story. But it's like we weren't really focusing on it very much. And so I was like, it's okay. I can live without it. I read number 6. That is a fun dystopian one because my cousin recommended it. It was fun. I was not obsessed. And I've learned that with manga, if I don't really, like, love it, if I'm not obsessed, I don't necessarily want it to, like, kind of stay with me because manga takes up a lot of space. Manga does. And I simply don't have the space for it to take up. So I returned it because I had all 3 of the omnibuses. Omnibus? The 3, like, big collections of it. And I had those, or I had 2 of them, I think. And then I also watched the show, and I was like, I saw the ending, and I was like, okay, so we're done. But yeah, those ones were interesting, but I didn't get obsessed with them, so I think that those are all of the mangas that I read, but I don't own. No, so I read 2 from my cousin, when I was visiting. I cannot remember their names off the top of my head, but I'll put them up somewhere on the screen, I think. And then I also read this one. I cannot for the life of me pronounce it, and so I'm not even gonna try. Yeah, it was, again, another really interesting concept. Just wasn't for me, so I returned it because I was like, I don't feel like reading the rest of the series. The villain, though, hot. Really hot, I must say. Very hot. But, yeah. Unfortunately, a hot villain is not enough. That hot villain was not enough for me to continue reading the series. We're going to do the manga that I read but physically own. This one, Sleeping on Paper Boats. I heard really good things about it. I heard it was really angsty, so I got it. And, like, it is. I don't remember crying, though. So, I don't know. I think that there's only 1 more volume in this series, so I might read that one and then decide if I want to keep it. Because sometimes, like, sequels or stuff later on in the series makes me want to keep it. So, we'll see how that goes with the 2nd volume. But if the 2nd volume doesn't do it, I'm just not even gonna. I will not be keeping this one. Our dining table. I love this one. This one I got because I watched the Japanese show, or I watched the show for it. And this is basically like a continuation of the show. And it is so cute. I love it. And the little kid, he's just so adorable the entire time. I love it so much. Love in the Palm of His Hands is about a guy who is deaf and a theater major who's like really expressive, like with his hands. Like he moves his hands a lot and he's very expressive. And so they both kind of, like, the guy who's deaf really appreciates that because it's hard for him to kind of understand people or like get what they're trying to say. And so with this guy being super expressive, it's really easy for him to understand what it is and everything that he's trying to say and what he's trying to do. So definitely cute. I know the 2nd one's out. I just haven't had the time to get it yet. So definitely recommend this one. The case study of Vanitas. This is a really, really interesting concept and I really love these covers. They are absolutely stunning. I didn't love this when I read it, but I was in the middle of a really big reading slump because, like, we had just moved to our new house and we were still waiting for the internet to get set up, and we were waiting for like all of our stuff to come in. Or no. This was one of the things that came in. So we were waiting for our internet to get set up and everything, and I was just strictly reading. So I read through a lot of books, but I burnt out. So this is one of the books that I read when I was burnt out. So I think I'm gonna give it another. I'm gonna give it another try, and if I still don't love it, then I'll get rid of it. But I have the first 3 in this series, and the covers are stunning. The 3rd cover, oh my goodness, beautiful. So yeah, I'm gonna give it another try because it is really interesting to me. The next one is Bungo Stray Dogs Beast. I loved this series. It is so good. You get to see like the characters of this. It focuses on this character, Chuya? No, that's not Chuya. Aragawa. We focus on him and like if him and what's his face. This is what happens if Dazai didn't choose Aragawa to go into the gang or whatever that they're in, and kind of what happened, because then he ends up going with the, like, if he didn't choose to bring Aragawa into the Port Mafia and instead he went into the detective agency. It is so fun, and he, like, being able to see the different, like, the characters in a different scenario, but oh, it's just so good. I gotta reread these. I really honestly hope that they turn this into an anime because it is just so good. This is probably one of my highest rated manga series because it is just so good. Next, I have Banana Fish. I read volumes 1 through 3. This is an anime that I've absolutely fallen in love with. It has been one of my favorite shows for 3 or 4 years now, I want to say. And it is just so heartbreaking, and their relationship, their dynamics between Ash and Eiji are so good. It's so good. So I have the manga, and I've been reading the manga, but it is also one of those things of I watch the anime, love the anime. The manga is really just the anime, but in black and white, without the voice acting, and frozen. So do I think I'll read the rest of the series? I'm not sure. I know that there's more, like, the final volumes that they add on more to it, so I might go in and read those and then just collect the manga just to have, like, some merch for it, because there's literally no merch! So yeah, but definitely either read this series or watch the anime, because it is so good. Next up, I have My Noisy Roommate, The Roof Over My Head Comes with Monsters and Hotties. I read this series because my cousin absolutely adored it, and I do too. It is so fun, and they basically just get to go, like, ghost hunting, because he's, like, a ghost hunter, and he kind of is, like, a magnet for ghosts. So they work together, even though they don't want to, and it is so fun. And I love this series so much. The next volume is coming out tomorrow, I think. I could be wrong. But yeah, no, I love this series. I'm so excited for the next one, for the next, like, volume in it. And definitely one of my higher mangas. Higher rated mangas. And now for 2 of the longer, like, my 2 longest manga series that I've read this year. We'll start off with, oh goodness, I Hear the Sunspot. I read this series because I watched the show for it with my sister, absolutely adored it, and so I got the books, and the books add so much more to it, because there's only 1 season, and it only covers to volume 2, I think, volume 2 or 3, and it is just so cute. And it's kind of like a slice of life where we follow this guy who's deaf, and then, where is he? This guy that's deaf, and this guy that is just hungry all the time. So they figure out the plan of he will kind of write down the notes for him in class, and he'll give him food because his mom is a chef, and so he really loves cooking and all that stuff. And it is just so cute. And if you just want like a really cute slice of life manga or even just show, I definitely recommend this one. But yeah, so I read through all of these. I know that there's one more out. I just haven't been able to get it yet. So I will have to get on that eventually. And now for my new all-time favorite manga series, Tokyo Aliens. It is so good. You get to follow... Sorry, I promise I do know these names. I did read these books. So it follows this guy named Akira. He's just like your average Tokyo student. He's like kind of nerdy, doesn't really have any friends, but then he sees this guy fighting somebody on a train. Turns out the girl that he's fighting is an alien, and this guy's from the AMO program or whatever, and it's aliens. This program basically that will find aliens and hunt them down to either return them to their planet or they're gone. And so it is so much fun, and I love this series so much. This is the one that needs to be turned into an anime because people would love it. The kind of boss guy, definitely giving Gojo vibes. And Akira, the covers for all of these are absolutely stunning. I love all of them. And I just, like, the next one comes out a couple days before my birthday. And so I'm like, guys, I need this. I need more. They leave every single volume off on the craziest cliffhanger. And so I'm like, can't we let a girl breathe? Can we let a girl breathe? That's all I'm saying. But yeah, no, I love this series. I forced my cousin to read it, and she's obsessed too. So yes, it is, in my opinion, the perfect manga series. So yeah, there's currently 9 volumes out right now. They're all great. If I had to recommend one manga series, it would be this one. So, sorry, your hands are tied. You gotta do it now. That's all I'm saying. So that is all of the manga that I've read this year, as far as I can remember. That's what my reading list is saying, but it's also like this is a 4-page reading list, so. Anywho, there are a few books that I read on Kindle this year and that I had like from the library or that I might have returned. And so I don't have the physical copies of them. One of them is Little Mushroom Judgment Day. This is a danmei that was made by... I can't remember the name of the publishing company, but that publishing company actually does not exist anymore. So you can only get it online. I do think that it was picked up by 7Seas. So 7Seas is going to do a version of it if they don't already have it out. Peach House, that was the name of the publishing house that isn't there anymore. But yeah, so I read the first one, and it's really different than the other ones that I read. It's following this mushroom that, like, takes over the body of this guy, but he, like, kind of has all of his memories, and so he's trying to not... This is, like, in a dystopian world, and he's trying not to get detected, but then, like, the head officer, security, somebody really important, and that makes a lot of decisions, kind of, like, takes an interest in him, so then it's this really important thing of, hey, let's not be suspicious, but it's also like, hey, kind of cute. So that's what I remember from it. I don't remember loving it, but I think I just also wasn't necessarily in the mood for it, so that kind of killed it a little bit for me. But there's one more book in that series that I have, and so I'll definitely be trying that one out and seeing if maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it. Alright guys, we're on the second page. Okay. I read the second and third installment in the Scythe trilogy. These books are so good. I made my dad read them. He's obsessed. He loves these books too. I think that these might be his favorite books. You're welcome, Dad. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed them. The ending of this one was not expecting that. It feels like it came out of nowhere, but that's okay. I'm okay with stuff coming out of nowhere because I just really wasn't expecting it. I love to be surprised. But yeah, no, I loved these books. They are so fun. They're definitely on, like, not my favorite shelf, but like next to favorites shelf. And it's so interesting, and like the writing and the ethics of what's going on in this world is so interesting to read, and the author does a really good job of like describing exactly how, like, it's such a nuanced series. So definitely this is a good YA dystopian series. Next is Holding Up the Universe. This one, I read it over the summer, trying to get into kind of like romance books. This is a YA romance book where we're going between two people. One, like, the guy has a bunch of friends, but like none of them are actually real friends. And then the girl used to be exceptionally fat. Now she's not, I think. I don't know. It was a meh book. For me, I don't think that it's my cup of tea. I don't think that I meant to read these kinds of books. That's all I can really say. I Hope This Doesn't Find You is kind of another one. It's another romance one, except that these are like academic rivals. And this one was a little bit more interesting for me, but it did kind of feel a little bit like too kiddish for me. So I don't know, but I read it. Next is the Raven Boys series. I've read the first 3. I started reading this book, or this series, because people were like, oh, hey, if you loved the Found Family in All for the Game, you're gonna love this series. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll read it. And I think I went in with too high of expectations, because this series, like, just, I don't know that it's for me. The first book I really, really loved. Like, I loved everything. I loved Noah. Noah's my favorite character. Then we get to the second one. I'm like, okay. We get to the third one. I'm like, okay, now I'm just forcing myself to read the series because people are obsessed and I just don't get the hype. That's my hot take for this video. I don't get the hype for this series. I have one more book in the series. Am I going to read it? I have to. So then I can finally be like, okay, you know what? I did it. I finished the book series. I don't ever have to read these again. Because it's like, I really want to get the hype. I really want to get the hype. I don't have it. I don't have it. First book, really interesting. I love Noah. Second book, interesting concept. I'm bored. This one, why are we focusing on these characters? As soon as something interesting happens, we change perspectives and never talk about the interesting thing again. Like, there was one scene, slight spoilers, in this book, where Adam is going to court against his dad. The thing that's been building up for the last 2.5 books. He's going to court against his dad, and then you see Gansey and what's-his-face, and Ronan running in from the school after he specifically said, hey, don't come. And then he's in the court about to go against his dad, and he's like, man, I really wish they were here. And then they show up, and he's like, oh man, like, my friends really care about me. I'm ready to do this. Cut somewhere else, and we never see what happens in the court. Are you kidding me? I was so invested in that. And then you just cut away. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm still pretty fired up about this book. So, yeah. Not for me, but I will still read the final book just to see if something happens, because I'm like, please. Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. I really love this author. She's one of my favorites, I think. Now she's one of my favorites. I've read a couple of her books this year. I think I've only read 2 of her books this year. But I still really enjoyed both of them. This one, I feel, was too smart for me. But in a good way. So it's like, I don't even really know how to explain it. It's just a really interesting book. I've never read a book like this before. And so, like, even just reading on the back, like, the first paragraph is Chicago sometime. Two people meet at the Art Institute by chance. Prior to their encounter, he's a doctoral student who manages his destructive thoughts with compulsive calculations about time travel. She is a bipolar counterfeit artist undergoing court-ordered psychotherapy. By the end of the story, these things are still true, but this is not a story about endings. And then, so it's... Could 6 conversations with a stranger be the variable that shakes up the entire simulation? Is the final thing of this summary. Such an interesting book, and the conversations are so intelligent. Like, there's so much intelligence to this book. And it's really like a book about a relationship between two people that really should not work, but they are so drawn to each other and perfect for each other in the worst way possible that this is just, it's such a good book. And it came out of nowhere for me. Like, I really was not expecting this. It was really good, though. Next is Almond. This is a book about a guy with anger issues. No, so this is a guy who struggles to feel any emotions. And then he meets a guy that feels emotions really strongly and kind of like just their interactions. So this is taking place like in school. And yeah, just, it was really interesting to see the psychology of something like this, of a character like this, and how they handle things. And then there's something violent happens, and then our character that can't feel emotions gets really shaken up. And yeah, I definitely recommend this one. This one was really, really insightful, I think. Really insightful to read. Masters of Death. This is by Olive Blake. This one is so good. I really, really enjoyed it. It's about a realtor that turns into a vampire, but then is also with, like, we also follow the godson of Death. And then they go on this adventure together where they have to go in and save Death, basically. And it's really good. I really loved it. The characters are so fun. I love the writing, the banter, and there's pictures in it. I'm a sucker for some pictures. There's pictures in this book. So yeah, definitely recommend this one. Iron Widow. This was another reread for me. Super good, super interesting book. Fun dystopian. Not fun, but it's a dystopian book. There's a lot of angst and stuff that goes on. I really love the characters. And also, if you like Pacific Rim, read this. Sunrise on the Reaping had me sobbing. I was looking everywhere for this one because it came out when I was in Korea. I was looking everywhere for this, couldn't find it. Had to buy it at an airport, I'm pretty sure. Sobbing, crying, screaming. I finished this book and I went to go talk to my family and I was sobbing. And they're like, Casey, are you okay? I was like, yeah, no, I just finished this book. I have since made my dad and my mom read this book this year. And we are super excited for the movie that's going to come out. I will be sat in that theater. They will have to drag me out of that seat because I'm so excited for this movie. Next up, All for the Game. Oh, I love this series so much. I'm actually just about to start rereading it, probably after I finish filming and editing this video. Yes, such a good series. I could talk for hours about this series, and I have. It is just so good. It is the worst written books that I think I've ever read. But I'm obsessed. Things don't make sense. There's a lot of just letting go and just letting things happen because the things that happen in this series are literally insane. But it's my favorite series of all time. And I just got these special editions of the original trilogy and they're stunning. They're absolutely stunning. And that's not even going into, like, there's new end papers for this, and, like, they're absolutely stunning. I got these from Rainbow Crate because they just did, like, for Black Friday or something, they brought these back. So I don't know if they're going to come back with these ones or not, but absolutely stunning editions. These are my new pride and joy. These special editions, my absolute pride and joy. I love these. So good. And then obviously the Starcaster, right? Starcaster? Yeah, Starcaster editions of these dust jackets as well. Absolutely stunning. Love them so much. Cannot wait to go and reread these in a few hours. Dark Air. This is the sequel to Dark Rise. Really interesting. I really loved the fantasy aspect of this, and it follows like just the absolute destruction that happens at the end of book 1. The ending of this book, oh my goodness. I need the next book. I need the next book. Do you want to know something though? It hasn't even been announced. The third book has not even been announced, and I am begging for it. I need the next book. Like, this is such a good series, and I really love how they handle like books that are like the good versus bad, the light versus dark. I really love how they handle that in this series, and this is just such a stunning book cover. I love it, and I had to wait for the paperback version of this to come out because Dark Rise, my edition of that, is also paperback. Why I did this to myself, I don't know, but that means that I also have to wait for the third book after it's been announced for it to come out in paperback. Are you kidding me? Does this mean I literally just bought Ratatouille for nothing? Oh my goodness, I love this series so much, and I definitely need to go in and reread this series because it is so good. I did forget one of the mangas that I read this year was The Summer Hikaru Died. I read the first one. It was okay. I probably just am going to watch the anime though instead. Guys, we're on the third page. We're on the third page. Okay. So I'm going to go a little bit faster with these because I've already been filming for about 50 minutes. I want to die, but I want to eat tteokbokki. This was a really, really interesting book. I don't know that I can really rate it though. It's a memoir, self-help book following this person with depression and kind of how she's going about her life and trying to handle it. I know that there's a sequel to this book, and I know that unfortunately this author has, since she passed away this year, just a couple months ago, I think, or a month or two ago. So definitely interesting. I definitely think that people should read this book, but just go into it knowing that it is handling a lot of those kind of thoughts. The Lies of Locke Lamora. I read this book because people were like, oh hey, if you love Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, you're gonna love this series. I read it. Was not for me. I couldn't get into it, so I think it was the wrong time for me to read this. If I go in later and reread it, I think that there's a chance that I could really enjoy it, but I just don't know that I don't know that it was the right time. I think that was definitely a factor. I don't think it was the right time for me to read this, and I also don't think that it can come close to Six of Crows. So, Case File Compendium. I read this one. It's literally crazy, but it is giving Hannibal vibes, which I love. I heard that this series gets kind of freaky, so I don't know if I'll read the rest of the series, but if it continues to have kind of like that toxic obsession stuff, then I might just have to continue reading the series and just deal with the fact that it's kind of freaky, but that's okay. Shots on Net. This is my first hockey romance, and I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to keep reading the series. I think it's just a matter of when I get to do that. And, like, supporting a small author, I'm always down for that. So, Winter Soldier. We get to follow Bucky Barnes before he's the Winter Soldier, and then on one of his missions as Winter Soldier, people were like, oh, hey, read this if you want your soul crushed. I was crushed. I don't know that it was my soul, though. So, it was not as sad as I was hoping for. But then again, I was also kind of, like, low-key in a reading slump, but still forcing myself to read books when I read this book. So, better than the movies. This is a really fun book. This is a romance book, and it was actually really good. Probably one of my favorites that I read this year. And yeah, like, if you love rom-coms, I think you'll love this book because it is such an homage to rom-coms. Like, there's a new quote from a rom-com at the beginning of every chapter. And they just talk a lot about it. And I really loved, honestly, I just love Wes. Wes is such a good character. I love him so much. So definitely read this. Captive Prince. I read this because I really loved Dark Rise. Kind of a bit freaky for me. I don't know. Kind of freaky. But I've heard really good things about the series. So I'm like, maybe I just kind of keep going. Because they do have a really interesting dynamic. And we left on a pretty, I'd say, interesting part. But, you know, I'm debating on if I'm going to keep reading this series or not. In Memoriam. This was a surprise for me. Imagine Song of Achilles, but set during World War II. Literally, insane. That was the only like thing that I could compare it to. It is soul crushing. I actually annotated this book a little bit, I think. Yeah, I annotated this book. I'm not an annotator, but I mean, I don't have any tabs, but I was underlining stuff and annotating it, and like just some of the lines. So this is kind of really late in the book, but it's like everyone else in his ward, Elward was plagued by nightmares. Unlike others, however, his were quiet. That's just such a good line. Am I a loser for underlining that? Maybe, but I underlined it and it's my book, so I picked this up out of nowhere because like I wanted to buy a book, but none of the books were piquing my interest. So I got this, like 5 stars. Cannot believe the luck that I had with getting this. It is beautifully written. It is soul crushing. I was crying. It got to a point where I was listening to the audiobook because I needed to know what happened next, but I physically couldn't sit down and read. So it was like, just so good. And I really recommend the audiobook actually. So definitely for sure, if you want to do like immersive reading, this is the book where that would really help, I think. Like just some of the voice acting in that one, it is so good. I cannot believe that it exists. And people, like, I've heard nobody talk about that book, which is insane to me. Next is Beach Read. This is my first Emily Henry book that I've ever read, and it was really good. But I'm sad because people are like, oh, Beach Read is the best book ever, is the best book by this author. So I'm like, man, I started too high. And even then, it was kind of like, yeah. I'd say about 4 stars, I think is what I rated it. Fearless. I read this book because I wanted to be done with the series. The first book was really interesting. The second book didn't love. This one, the stuff that happens in it, spoiler alert, they're related and they got married. Or they were planning on getting married. Gross. Literally gross. Why would you put this in this book? So yeah, no. It's a long book. I and Peyton, like, yeah, they're interesting, but they just feel like every single book. Like, all of the YA fantasy books that I read growing up. So I'm like, how is this any different? Just not for me. I liked the first book, but then after that, it just kind of went down. This Is How You Lose a Time Worm. I read this because I heard a lot of really good things about it. I think it's too smart for me. I don't think I understood it because I was not obsessed like a lot of people were with this. Red Queen. Not for me. Six of Crows and Cricket Kingdom. I love this series so much, and I can't find anything like it, and it kills me. It actually kills me that I can't find another series like this that makes me feel this way. I'm gonna be so honest. I was reading this back when we were in the last place we lived in. I was reading this, but I read I was in the middle of chapter 1 when I was like, no, I'm bored. So me and my mom and my sister watched the first season of the show, and I was like, I need to know what happens next. So I picked up this book. I went step to get this book. Binged it. And then I got this book. Absolutely binged it too. It is so good. And the show, I cannot believe how we've all been personally attacked by the fact that they did not continue with the show. They had the perfect Six of Crows cast. Jack Wolf, my love! I went to go see him in New York. Oh, absolute insane experience. Love in pieces. Such a good actor. I can't believe that we had the perfect cast. And you were going to focus on Six of Crows, which was the story that people wanted you to do. And they're like, no. Are you kidding me? Absolute loser behavior. Cannot believe that they canceled it. Are you kidding me? I don't know if you can tell, but those are 5 and 6 star books for me. Love and Gelato. Again, trying to get into romance. Trying to get into the summery mood. The Survivor Wants to Die at the End. This is such a good series. I love this series so much. It is one of my favorite series. Fun fact, I was putting this up on my bookshelf when we were waiting for all our furniture and stuff to come in. And I put it up on the bookshelf. I put it up on the very top bookshelf. And then I bent down to get something. Apparently, I didn't put it on very well, because for some reason it fell over and it hit me in the head. It hit me in the head. It hurt so bad. I'm gonna be so honest. I said something in a video about, like, it would hurt if it fell on your head. I said that because it did. And I was too embarrassed to say anything. But I've grown as a person in a few months. So, yeah. Fun fact, don't let this hardcover book fall on your head. It hurts. We got in the Gumoho. I got this version when I was in Korea. It is an English version, but I love this cover. It is absolutely stunning. If you like K-pop Demon Hunters, read this. It was super fun. You'll love it. He really gives off Genie vibes. I'm gonna be so for real. I read this at the very end of, this was the last book that I read before, like, we got all of our stuff back, I want to say, and I was so burnt out of reading that I just couldn't really enjoy it, so I was really just speeding through it. I think if I gave it another try, I would really like it. But yeah, no, it was an interesting book. It was really fun to see. It just was not my favorite because I think of the time that I read it. Oh my god, guys, we're so close to the end. Oh, goodness. Oh, I did read Heaven Official's Blessing, Volume 1 and 2. I borrowed those from my cousin. Really, really love them. I'm just waiting to read the rest of the series because I need to buy the rest of it, and so I just haven't bought the rest of it yet. But it hasn't felt like an absolute need to read them, so low-key kind of want to spend my money getting the special editions of Grandmaster Demonic Cultivation, and then I'll get Heaven Official's Blessing. But I am in the middle of a couple series, so I might finish those series and then go back to Heaven Official's Blessing. I borrowed from the library. I got The Devil's Only Friend. That one was really, really good. I really enjoyed it, and I really loved... There's specifically one character named Elijah. So if you read that book, Elijah was my favorite. I won't say anything, because I don't want to spoil it. Also, can't really remember some of it. But yeah, it was really interesting. Really interesting book. And apparently it was not the first in the series, so I didn't know that. But I read it just with that, and I understood enough of it to get what they're going for. So it was a good book. I recommend. I also read Anatomy, a Love Story. That one was really good. I think it wasn't my favorite, but it was really interesting to see. So I think that it was just also another thing of, like, being YA, and I'm not necessarily in a YA mood anymore. But yeah, no, it was still interesting. Definitely, I do recommend that one. I do definitely recommend that book, though. If We Were Villains, I read this when I was visiting people. I was visiting some friends from the last place we lived, and it was good. I was in a really long reading slump this year, and this was during it. It was still really interesting, and I did really enjoy it. I did keep reading it, but I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, like, I really need to know what happens next. So yeah, I might need to go in and reread this at a later point in time, just so I can still be fully obsessed like other people are with it. Definitely really interesting, though. I really, really loved how toxic everything was, but, like, how everybody needed each other. It was insane. Definitely recommend this one, though. Pass Her In. I reread one of, if not my all-time favorite fanfics ever. It sucks that some of the people in here are bad people, but it's a story, and so you get to forget about that, and it is just so good, and I reread this probably once a year. It's so good. Vengeful. This is the sequel to Vicious. Really, really good. I thought we were focusing on one other person, on a different person than we were, and I'm so glad that was not the case. Love this book. It was so good, and the fact that we got to see more of Eli's perspective, I loved seeing Eli's perspective. That was super fun. I'm really excited for the third one, and that comes out fall of next year. So trust me, I will be sat for the final book. This Fatal Kiss, I was not expecting to enjoy this book nearly as much as I did. It was super fun, super fast read. I read it in one day. So Apple, I loved this book. It was so good, and the magic system using languages and kind of all the different struggles that happen for our character in this book is absolutely insane. I did immersive reading with this one, so I listened to the audiobook while I read it. So good. Definitely recommend having the audio for this book, whether that be just the audiobook or immersive reading, because they have proper pronunciation for it and everything, and genuinely, it is so good. One of my higher rated books this year for sure. House on the Cerulean Sea, as well as Somewhere Beyond the Sea. I loved the first book. The second one I did not love as much, but the first book for sure. I've talked about it before. I don't know if I posted on here though, that at least this book definitely needs to be made into a cartoon. I would love to see this as a cartoon. It would be so fun. And I think that a lot of people, it would open this story up to a lot more people. And I feel like it would be very amazing. It would be really amazing to see this story opened up to more people. So definitely this one, new 5-star book for me. I got a lot of 5 stars this year. This was one of them. So good. This one, not as good, but it's still fun to see what happens to the characters afterwards. So, yes. These Violent Delights. I read this one because people were like, oh my god, it's like Hannibal. It's like Will and Hannibal. Kind of not as obsessed with them, but still really interesting to see how toxic obsessiveness can affect people. So, still a fun book. Alchemized. Oh my goodness. I was scared to read this book because I am not a huge Harry Potter fan, and I know that this is based off of Manacled, which is a Hermione fic. But I loved this book. I got 100 pages into it, and then there's like work and that stuff, so I wasn't able to read. And then I read the rest of this book in 3 days. It was so good. I was hooked. Everything I thought about was them. This is such a good book. I love the world building, the character building. Definitely this book needs a reread because there's so many things that are like called back to so far back in the book that it's absolutely insane. And I can't believe that this was originally a fanfic. Like, the amount of love and care and talent that is put into this book is actually insane. I get the hype. I get the hype. It is so good. Please go read this. Now, for the final book of the year, Most Valuable Player. I love this book. I'm currently reading Heated Rivalry, so I will finish that before the end of the year, but I definitely want to get this video out sooner. And I read this book because episode 5 of Heated Rivalry was just released, and I'm obsessed, and I'm reading the book, and I'm 70% of the way through the book because I don't want to get any spoilers for the end. And I got this with the intention of it being like that. It really wasn't. It's just another, like, sport romance. So this one's with football. It was really interesting, and I loved seeing the characters. The banter in this book is actually so good. So if you need, like, just a fun, kind of lighthearted, but also, like, kind of angsty book, this is it for you. So those are all of the books that I read this year. It is a total of 115 books, depending on... Yeah, no, it's 114 books, if I'm correct. Absolutely insane that I read that much this year. I don't know that I'd be able to do it again, just with life getting in the way, because things are changing. But yeah, no, I really, really enjoyed it. There's been so many 5-star books this year. I've ventured out into a lot of different genres that I wasn't into before, and just kind of realizing that my reading tastes are changing as I get older. And so that's been really fun to kind of explore and figure out where my reading tastes kind of lie now that I'm 19 and not a 12-year-old or 15-year-old reading these books. So yeah, that's been really interesting to see. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope to get this out soon. Hopefully just after the holidays, or just after Christmas. So Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Heated Rivalry, and Happy Heated Rivalry finale, and Stranger Things Volume 2 watch. I hope to talk about all this stuff with you guys, and thank you guys so much for watching.